On our 5th anniversary, I overheard my wife mocking me behind my back, using me for my money, my success, and my loyalty. She thought I'd never find out. She thought I was too busy, too naive. What she didn't know was that I built my empire by recognizing patterns and knowing exactly when to cut my losses. Welcome to Infidelity Truths. Before we dive into today's gripping story, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us create more thrilling stories just for you. Let's begin. It was our 5th anniversary, and Elena insisted we celebrate at Vittorio's, an absurdly expensive Italian restaurant. I had hoped for something more intimate, like the little pizza place where we had our first date, but she dismissed that suggestion immediately. When we arrived, Elena was all smiles, mostly because I had just landed a major contract that promised significant growth for my business. After dinner, I went to pay at the front desk, a habit I picked up years ago after my card was once skimmed at a restaurant. On my way back, I passed behind a partition where Elena sat chatting with her Aunt Marla. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but I caught a few words that stopped me cold. "Does Noah still think you love him?" Marla's voice was slurred, thick from too much wine. I froze, my heart hammering. Elena's reply was smooth, laced with amusement. "Of course. His credit's golden and he funds my lifestyle. Why would I leave?" They both laughed, a cruel, brittle sound. I strained to hear more. Marla murmured something inaudible, but Elena's next words were crystal clear. "Well, Mom and Dad were right. Marrying a tradesman means he'll always be too busy to notice anything." I stood rooted to the spot, not in shock, but in grim realization. 100 small doubts and suspicions I'd pushed aside over the years now snapped into focus. I returned to the table, sat down, and finished my drink, pretending nothing had changed. Elena, oblivious, continued chatting about her day. When we got home, she noticed my silence, but didn't dig deeper. "Just tired," I said, blaming it on a big project coming up. She shrugged and disappeared into her own world, as usual. That night, I didn't sleep. Instead, I formulated a plan. The next morning, I contacted my bank and credit card companies, citing suspected fraudulent activity, and had Elena removed as an authorized user. By noon, I had spoken to my lawyer, my accountant, and my business partner. That evening, I moved half of our joint savings into a private account and froze the rest. For the first 2 days, Elena remained blissfully unaware, attending Pilates classes, lunch dates, and shopping sprees. I played along, kissing her goodbye each morning, smiling, pretending. Then came the breaking point. While trying to pay for a $900 spa day with friends, Elena's cards were declined. Frustrated, she called me. "Something's wrong with the cards," she said, her voice sharp and brittle. That's odd," I said calmly. "Paid all the bills last week. What are you trying to buy?" "Just lunch," she lied, as a $900 spa charge notification flashed on my phone. "I'm stuck in meetings all day, but I'll check tonight," I offered, still sounding concerned. She hesitated, realizing she was trapped. "Fine," she snapped before hanging up. 3 hours later, I had 27 missed calls and a flood of texts from Elena demanding explanations. I didn't reply. By the end of the day, my lawyer confirmed the preliminary divorce paperwork had been filed. When I got home, I half expected a confrontation, but the house was empty. The doorbell camera showed Elena leaving with 3 suitcases, heading to her parents' home 2 hours earlier. The next morning, Marla called. Against my better judgment, I answered. "What have you done?" she barked. "What did Elena tell you?" I asked coolly. "She said you lost your mind, cut her off, frozen accounts, a total meltdown," Marla said. Her outrage felt rehearsed, hollow. "Did she mention what she said during our anniversary dinner?" I asked. A long, heavy pause followed. "You heard?" Marla whispered. "Every word," I said flatly. "Tell Elena she can direct any further communication through my lawyer." "You're making a terrible mistake," Marla said weakly. "No," I corrected her. "I finally stopped making them." Then I ended the call and blocked both of their numbers. As expected, Elena's father soon called my business partner, threatening lawsuits and reputation destruction unless I restored Elena's lifestyle. I was ready. My lawyer presented documented evidence of Elena's extravagant secret spending and her negligible contributions to the marriage and business. When her new aggressive attorney reached out, we scheduled a formal meeting. When I saw Elena again, she was perfectly polished, but her eyes were cold and calculating. "This is unnecessary," she said, not meeting my gaze. "I prefer having witnesses to our conversations now," I replied calmly. Her attorney slid their settlement demands across the table. My lawyer countered with our own document, far less generous but firmly justified. Elena's face turned from confusion to fury as she read. "5 years of my life and this is all you think I'm worth," she hissed. I finally looked her dead in the eyes. "Before we met, you had a job, a sense of self-respect. Maybe this is a chance to find that again." She seethed, claiming connections had built my business. "Actually, Marnie," I replied, "your network contributed less than 8% to client acquisition, and those had the lowest retention rates. But thank you for the attempt." Her lawyer urged her to reconsider fighting. We had more than enough evidence of questionable weekend trips and unexplained charges. I left without another word. As I walked away, Elena called after me, "You wouldn't have met the Luthers or the Reeds without me." I turned briefly and said, "You saw me as a stock to invest in. Your mistake was selling too early." 3 weeks later, Elena signed the agreement. She walked away with less than 15% of the assets, still a generous sum if she was careful. I kept the house, the business, and most importantly, my peace of mind. Shortly after, Marla texted me from a new number. "You were smarter than the others, she miscalculated." I replied simply, "No." Her biggest mistake was thinking money was all that mattered. It's been 2 months now. My business is thriving. Clients prefer dealing directly with me rather than through the filter of pretense. I've heard Elena is living in her parents' guest house, still spinning tales about my supposed breakdown. Maybe for her it was a perfect marriage, a life of luxury at the cost of pretending. But here's the truth. I didn't build success by being naive. I built it by paying attention, recognizing patterns, and cutting losses when necessary. I just wish I had recognized it sooner. Last week, I donated all of Elena's remaining things to a women's shelter. One of the coordinators asked if I'd join a fundraising committee for their renovation project. We're getting coffee next week, nothing fancy. Just 2 people talking about something real. For the first time in years, I'm genuinely looking forward to the conversation. Turns out, clarity is the most expensive thing I've ever paid for, and worth every single penny. 2 years later, life without Elena was quieter, cleaner, and infinitely more focused. My company doubled its revenue. We expanded into 2 new states. Every decision I made was mine alone, without whispered criticisms in the background about appearances, status, or who we needed to impress. After the divorce, I promised myself I would never let someone tether me to their selfish ambitions again. Funny thing is, success feels different when no one's standing beside you pretending they had a hand in it. It's lighter, purer. The volunteer work I started with the women's shelter grew into something bigger than I ever expected. We raised enough funds to not only renovate their facilities, but to build an entirely new wing. The Renewal Center, designed to give women fresh starts after abusive or manipulative relationships. At the opening ceremony, I met Sofia Rivera, a financial analyst who had survived her own nightmare. She wasn't polished to fake perfection like Elena. Sofia was real. She didn't see me as an opportunity. She saw me as a person. Our friendship started slow: coffee, board meetings, late-night conversations about things that actually mattered. And somewhere between strategy sessions and fundraisers, something deeper grew. Not neediness, not admiration based on status, respect, trust. One night after a fundraising gala, Sophia and I sat on the steps of the new center, looking out at the city lights. "You're not who I thought you were," she said quietly. "How so?" I asked. "Most guys with your kind of money, they want everyone to know it. You just want to build something that lasts." I didn't respond right away, because she was right. I didn't care about the money. I cared about legacy, about leaving something better behind than I found it. I spent too long being a project for someone else, I finally said. I think now I'm finally my own person again. Sophia smiled in that genuine way only someone who's survived can. I didn't follow her life intentionally, but in a city like ours, some stories travel. Elena burned through the settlement money faster than anyone expected. She tried to launch a luxury lifestyle blog, La Vita Elena, but without my income or name recognition, it flopped within 6 months. The guest house at her parents' place became a permanent residence. Occasionally, someone would mention seeing her at bars downtown, trying to cozy up to investors and entrepreneurs, trying to reclaim the life she thought she deserved without ever doing the work. Every once in a while, her name popped up in gossip, dating some executive, some startup founder, but it never lasted because people like Elena are always chasing the next opportunity instead of being one themselves. One day, my old mutual friend Daniel ran into me at a networking event. Guess who I saw working retail at Valentina's boutique? He smirked. I didn't even have to guess. And honestly, I didn't feel anger. Not pity either, just closure. Because for the first time, it hit me. I didn't lose anything when Elena left. I gained myself back. Sophia and I are planning to open a financial literacy program through the Renewal Center. We're focusing on teaching women the skills to build their own wealth, independence, and future. No more relying on someone else to survive. Looking back, that anniversary dinner at Vittorio's wasn't the end of anything. It was the beginning of my real life. The one where no one else defines my worth. The one where the cost of clarity turned into the gift of freedom. And every day now, as I sit at my desk, glance out at the city I helped build something real in, I realize losing Elena was never the tragedy. It was the best investment I ever made. It happened 3 years after the divorce. I was finishing a meeting at the Renewal Center when my phone buzzed. A number I didn't recognize. Normally, I let unknown calls go to voicemail, but something made me pick up. Noah? It's Elena. Her voice hadn't changed. Still soft, still careful, still calculated. For a moment, I said nothing, letting the silence stretch until it became uncomfortable. I was hoping we could talk, she finally said. In person, please. I could have hung up. I could have ignored her like I had every instinct to, but then I thought, closure isn't just walking away. It's standing tall when the past tries to pull you back down. Coffee shop on 5th and Oak, I said, my voice even. Tomorrow, noon, 15 minutes. Then I hung up. When I arrived, Elena was already there, sitting at a corner table, stirring a coffee she clearly wasn't drinking. She looked different. Still beautiful, but there was a fragility now, something desperate simmering under the surface. Noah, she breathed, standing up like she expected a hug. I stayed still. You have 15 minutes, I said, sitting down across from her. She blinked, surprised by the coldness, but quickly masked it with a trembling smile. She hesitated, gathering her words like a child piecing together a broken toy. I miss what we had. I made mistakes. I was young, selfish, but I've changed. I let her speak. It was like watching someone audition for a role that no longer existed. I was thinking, she continued, leaning forward. Maybe we could start fresh. I could help with your foundation. Maybe get coffee sometimes. See where things go. Her eyes searched my face, looking for some flicker of the old Noah, the one she could manipulate. She didn't find him. He was dead and buried years ago. I smiled slightly, not cruelly, just with understanding. Elena, I said slowly, you're not the villain in my story. You were just a lesson. She flinched like I slapped her, but I wasn't finished. You taught me exactly what to look for and what to walk away from. You taught me the value of peace over appearances. You taught me that love without respect is just leverage. Her hands tightened around the coffee cup. She opened her mouth to protest, but I raised a hand. You're not the woman I once loved, and I'm not the man you used to know. The timer on my watch beeped. 15 minutes exactly. I stood up, gathering my coat. Goodbye, Elena. As I walked out into the bright afternoon sun, I felt no anger, no regret, just gratitude. Because some people come into your life as blessings, others come as lessons. And both are priceless if you learn from them. 6 months later, Sophia and I got engaged in a quiet ceremony surrounded by friends who had seen us through the hard rebuilding years. No lavish spectacle, no performative posts, just real love. As we danced under the stars that night, Sophia leaned in and whispered, "You're not who I thought you were the first time I met you." I smiled. "Neither am I said. And thank God for that. Because some endings aren't endings at all. They're just the first real step toward the life you were meant to have. Months passed after my meeting with Elena. Life, as it tends to do when you make the right choices, kept getting better. Sophia and I married quietly at a vineyard just outside the city. No drama, no spectacle. Just vows whispered between two people who saw each other clearly, flaws, dreams, and everything in between. Business flourished. The renewal center expanded to 2 more locations. At night, Sophia and I would sit on the back porch of our home, talking about real things, hopes, ideas, plans to start a family. It was peace. It was everything I once thought I could buy with success, but now understood could only be earned with honesty. I heard bits and pieces about Elena from mutual acquaintances, though I never asked. She moved into a small apartment after things with her parents soured, apparently. They grew tired of financing her lifestyle without my support. She tried dating wealthy men, but none stayed. She started small businesses, all failed within months. The same patterns kept playing out. Chasing status, blaming others when it slipped through her fingers. One evening at a gala for the renewal center, I spotted her across the room. Alone. A forced smile on her face, as she tried to mingle with people who no longer saw her as valuable. She caught my eye for half a second. There was no malice in my heart, no satisfaction at her downfall. Just quiet recognition. Some people never learn. Some lessons you can't teach, they have to live them out, no matter how long it takes. I turned back to Sophia, who was laughing at something the mayor had said. She caught my hand and squeezed it under the table, a small gesture that said everything. I squeezed back. I don't believe in fairy tales anymore, but I do believe in earned happiness, in building a life with open eyes and an open heart. No illusions, no bargains made with loneliness. Some scars stay with you. They don't fade. They become part of your story, etched deep enough that you never forget the cost of ignoring the truth. But scars are also proof that you healed. And so when I look at the life I've built, with the woman who chose me, not my bank account, I don't feel bitterness for what I lost. I feel gratitude for what I found. Because clarity, peace, and real love are worth every penny, every heartbreak, every single hard-earned lesson along the way. Thank you, my amazing subscribers. Wow, what a journey. If you've made it to the end of this story, I just want to take a moment to say thank you. Your support means everything to me. Every time you watch, like, and comment, you're helping keep this channel alive and growing. And trust me, the best is yet to come. I see all your comments. I feel your love, and I truly appreciate each and every one of you. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and drop a comment below. I'd love to hear what you think. Your thoughts and feedback inspire me to create even more powerful stories. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you never miss a new upload. More shocking twists, emotional journeys, and real-life lessons are on the way, and I don't want you to miss a single one. Together, we're building an incredible community, and I'm so grateful to have you on this journey with me. Stay strong, stay inspired, and remember, sometimes life's greatest lessons come from the most unexpected moments. See you in the next story.